Hello again, watch fans. Welcome back. Today on the bench is the Ginault Ocean Rover, a very interesting piece that came out a few months ago. So let's take a look at what's hot and what's not, and see why you may or may not want to add this watch to your collection. So the Ginault Ocean Rover is a micro-brand high-end diver watch on a bracelet. But before I get into my review and talk about the specifics and what I like or don't like about the watch, I'd like to tackle a few issues that have come about on various websites and forums. So there's an elephant in the room, and the first elephant is the fact that I received a discount for doing this review. Ginault had a promotion where if you would do a written review, you'd get a certain percentage off the list price of $12.99, or if you did a video review, you get slightly more. So I did get the discount, approximately not quite half off, but that's not going to cloud my judgment. I'm going to give an honest review and tell you how I feel about the watch. So the second elephant in the room is the fact that when this watch first came out, Ginault said it was made in America. Well, it wasn't quite all made in America, and it got in a little trouble with the FTC. Similar to what Ginault went through a year or two ago. You know, I don't care. I don't care where it was made. What I'm looking at is, do I like the watch? Is it a good design? Does it fit my needs? Does it fit in my collection? Is it a quality watch? So, where it's made, you know, it's kind of important. What's inside, very important. So, Ginault has slightly changed their advertising. Now they say it's built in America, or assembled in America. And then the third thing I want to mention is that this is a homage watch. It's not a fake, it's not a duplicate, it's not a replica, it's not some kind of Franken watch. It's a homage. And it really is a watch that is meant to be similar to a Rolex from 1979. Actually, the Rolex 1680, but in this case, there is no date. So, I don't have any problem with a homage. The Ginault Ocean Rover doesn't purport to be anything that it really isn't. It doesn't say Rolex on the dial. It says Ginault, because it is a Ginault. So, some people hate homage watches. That's fine. I don't. That's fine too. So, those are the three elephants. I guess it's almost a herd of elephants in the room. But I wanted to address them before I got into the review. So, the Ginault Ocean Rover is a micro-brand, high-end diver watch. Comes with the bracelet, which I'll talk about shortly. So there's a zillion alternatives for diver watches at price points from $100 up to multiple thousands of dollars. And some are from micro brands, some are from mainstream brands. I think most of us know the brands. You have Steinhardt, NT8, Zodiac. Seiko's got various models. Certina, Christopher Ward. There are just too many to name. But in any case, this is a diver watch. Comes in at a price point of $1,300, which is more expensive than some of the ones that maybe are most popular on the internet forums and watch groups and whatnot. But I got to say, the first impression of this watch is that of quality. I mean, you just look at this. You look at the dial, you look at the bezel, you look at the case, the finishing. It's just amazing. The bracelet, we'll talk more about the bracelet. It's just a gorgeous watch. And So let me just mention the specs very briefly. So it's got a sapphire crystal, 300 meter water resistance, domed. The sapphire crystal is domed, aluminum bezel, 120 clicks, no wiggle room, no play in the bezel, and it comes with a 1-year warranty. So let's talk about the case. The case is 316L stainless steel. It's 40 millimeters. It's a pre-ceramic Submariner size. 15.6 millimeter thickness. About 1 millimeter thicker than the Sub. 50 millimeters lug to lug from here to here. And 20 millimeters lug width. So if you do want to change out the bracelet to a strap or a NATO or something, 20 millimeters. But I don't think I'll be doing it because the bracelet is just so good. And it's got a signed crown. Let's see if we can get a picture of that. There we go. A beautiful flower. You see some fingerprints there. Sorry about that. Beautiful signed crown. So it really is. I mean, the finishing is just amazing. So the dial, let's look at the dial. The dial is, it's got sword hands, obviously. I kind of like those. I like those actually a little better than the more traditional Mercedes hands on the Sub. But that's just a personal preference. Red second hand with loomed end. You can see that little pip there on the second hand. That's loomed. Enamel, dial's enamel, high gloss. In fact, you're getting reflections here. It's kind of hard to get the lighting just right without the reflections. Over here you go. Okay. And there's lume on the hands, on the indices, and at the 12 o'clock position of the dial pip up here. It's the lume is sand colored. It sort of mimics a natural patina, and as we'll see a little bit later, this lume is really, really good. I mean, I've worn this watch actually for the last week, 24 hours a day, and at night when I go to bed, this thing's a nightlight. It's just that good, just amazing. So let's talk about the bracelet. Man, oh man, this bracelet is something else. If it's just the quality, it's not it's machine. It's not stamped. Maybe some fingerprints here. Very similar to the Rolex bracelet. The fit and finish is excellent. Oyster style. It's got screwed links, and as you saw in the previous picture, which where I showed the box, it even comes with a screwdriver to change out the size. So when I first got it, there's the screws and the screw links. When I first got it, it was too large for my wrist. I have a 7.5 inch wrist, and I thought, I'm a little nervous about adjusting this thing. Piece of cake. Took the screwdriver that it came with, took out one of the links, put it back together, and now it's got a perfect fit. So it's also tapered, which is nice. Starts out at 20 and goes down. And perhaps the most interesting part is that it's got the similar glide lock mechanism and fold over security clasp like a modern Submariner. And actually the taper is the same as the Sub. So if we look here, see if I can do it right. If we look here, you can see that you pop this out just like a Sub. You can move that position forward or back. It gives about 5 millimeters of movement, so that when if your wrist changes with temperature or humidity, and the watch feels a little tight, you can then readjust it, and there you go. So fantastic feature. Okay, all right. Let's talk about the movement briefly. It's a Ginault caliber 7275, basically an ETA 2824 clone with some additional parts. So there's a Chinese Wang Jai Ling shock absorber, but basically it's a 2824 clone. It has hacking, hand winding, winding, and 38 hours power reserve. The really cool thing, one of the cool things, is that the watch comes adjusted and regulated over a period of 6 weeks. So here's the actual, see if I can zoom out here. Here's the actual certificate that comes with it. You can see that they've measured over 5 positions, starting at the left here. 9 o'clock up, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock up. Case up, case down, and what the results are. And as I may have mentioned before, as soon as I got the watch, I threw it on the time grapher, and I got plus 1 second per day, 1 second per day accuracy. So that's incredible. So the movement is really quite good. And I don't think there are very many other watches, if there are even, at this price point, certainly not below this price point, that come with this kind of detailed statistics on its accuracy measurements. So kudos to Ginault for going the extra mile on doing that. All right, let me talk about likes and dislikes. So what do I like? Well, I like the accuracy out of the box. That's fantastic. It's better than COSC certified watches. The 6 weeks of timing data, that really shows a lot of attention to detail. Ginault really just hit it out of the ballpark on that one. I like the sword hands. The lume, I'm a bit of a lume kind of guy, and you can't get enough lume, and I just love the lume in this thing. You'll see pictures in a second. And the bezel has no play, 120 clicks, and it just has a solid quality feeling to it. Finally, the glide lock mechanism. I wish all my bracelets and all my watches had glide lock. That's just a fantastic feature. What don't I like? What are my dislikes? Well, I'm not sure if I'm liking the sandy-colored foul vintage indicators. I think personally, and this again is personal preference, I think I would like white a little bit better than the sandy vintage color. But again, that's just my preference. The finishing on the clasp, it's not quite as clean as I would like. And the glide lock mechanism isn't really as buttery smooth. I just yesterday came from an AD and was checking out a modern current version Submariner. And boy, that glide lock and the finishing is as you would expect. But on the other hand, this watch doesn't cost 6, 7, 8 times as much as the Submariner. So getting that kind of quality at this price point is nothing short of fantastic. So what's my bottom line? Well, if you talk about originality, not so much. By their own admission, Ginault is going for execution, not originality. It's a homage, after all. And they freely admit that, and that's the whole purpose. Execution, you might say that Ginault put their money into the bracelet rather than the movement, but I got to say, when I put this thing on the time grapher and that kind of 1 second per day, plus 1 second per day accuracy, I have few watches that are that good, and I have some quality watches. And the fact that it was adjusted and regulated and the data supplied over 6 weeks of timing accuracy, like I said, that's pretty rare at any price. And it's really a classy presentation. The box, the accuracy data, the screwdriver for adjusting the bracelet. You even get a shining cloth and a 2-piece Zulu strap. So you really get kind of the whole package, which is quite well done. So it's $1,300 list, as I mentioned. Like I said before at the beginning, I did get a discount for doing a review. I'm not sure how long these discounts will last. And only you can decide if $1,300 is a fair price. I showed it to the salesperson at the AD yesterday at the Rolex dealer, and he thought this was perfectly fine at $1,300. And he was comparing it to watches in the $2,000 range. So he's been in the business 25 years. He told me, I sort of think that he knows what he's doing, or knows his watches. That's just one data point. So anyway, I'm glad I have it. It's a keeper. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to wear it. I'm going to enjoy it. Thanks for listening and watching. And that is the Ginault Ocean Rover.